Welcome back. Today we're taking a look at this Precision Design mini tripod. I'm doing a review on this because I don't have the camera mounted on it any longer. I've actually upgraded my tripod to a newer one, which is way better, but I figured I would use the opportunity to show you the old one. Now, this was part of a kit that came with the camera and a variety of other accessories. I mentioned in an earlier video that I'm going to have a mount coming in so I can mount my tablet onto one of these tripods and I can use it as a secondary view. When I do that, I'll have a full review of the camera and all the accessories as a whole, but I figured I would take the time to do this tripod now. Now, there's a couple things about tripods that I should point out, but before I do that, I should point out that I'm not a professional photographer or videographer. I have been around professionals before. I have seen what kind of gear they use and kind of get an idea that, you know, you need to spend some kind of good money to get something good, and that just goes without saying. But there is a time and a place for everything, and all the videos up till episode 55 maybe were recorded on this tripod, unless of course I had it in my hand. But the thing I didn't like about it is when I went to do panning shots or tilting or anything like that, it creaked. And now that I'm wearing a lavalier mic, you might not be able to hear it, but yeah, in the camera you did, because that boom mic, even though it has a shock mount on it, is attached to the camera, and every time you move this you would hear that, and it was getting annoying. And not only that, but it stuttered in the camera, so I would find myself having to pause and then angle this where I wanted it, and then tighten, you know, screw this in to tighten it down and whatnot, and get it all adjusted, and then take my shot. But sometimes I'd have problems with it tipping over because the camera isn't that big and not that heavy, but when you get the lens on it and the mic and the it would tip right over. And I've had plenty of times where this thing just went right over, and that of course is never a good thing. Also, I should mention that when this thing is fully extended, it doesn't actually get at eye level, which I find kind of annoying. Now, I have seen the nicer ones in this style where they have a little crank and you can turn it and the center column cranks up. That would be great. Ultimately, I would try to want to get myself one of these. I mean, the professional tripod that the camera's mounted on now is a much nicer tripod, but it's big and you can't really put it on a table in such a small footprint. So like I said, there's a time and place for everything, and getting a tabletop, more professional unit, a little bit more of an intermediary unit would be much better than this. But you can still mount a microphone on it. Like if I wanted to screw this up here, I could, and just use it as like a voice recorder, or I have an LED light which I can screw into there too. So it does have its usage. But one of the things I could point out, the mount here for the camera, they have this little dot. My camera, this needs to be oriented towards the front lens, and then this just screw into the bottom. Most picture cameras have this turned sideways like this, and the dot is located to the either side of the screw here. Now, it's not such a big deal because it's spring loaded, but it does keep the camera stable. The new tripod I'm using does have it located the right way. So I guess you could say one's meant for video, one's meant for photography. Even though it's the same screw mount, but you get the point. Now, as far as the way this attaches, you could see that it's just got one of these, you know, retention clips, and it does have a level on it, but frankly, you know, a bubble level would have been a lot better. You know, like one of those like top mounted levels as opposed to this you know, horizontal level, which you're going to use for pictures, but the video work, when you go all around, you need something, you know, better. It does have the tilt option, but once again, once you get a heavy camera on it, it makes it top heavy in this way. Like, you're not going to want to put a big DSLR camera on this with a big hunking lens, and it's going to be too heavy. If you have a smartphone like over here, you could go ahead and mount the smartphone on top if you had one of those tripods. You know, you could mount it like that. It's not heavy. That's not a big deal. So it does have its usage. For the money I spent on the camera as a whole, it would have been nice to see a better tripod. But the camera on its own isn't much cheaper than the set. So obviously when you buy something like that, the remaining pieces aren't going to be of super quality. And that was, you know, I knew that, but it was a getting started set. Now that I've been doing this for a little while, it was time to get something better. Some improvements I did make on this was I actually took this head off and put a bit of just Teflon like lubricant around it, and also on the slide here, so it does slide up and down a lot easier, but still has that whole skipping motion to it, and it still isn't that smooth. It does have a little carry bag, which I can just take this and just slide it in the bag. It has a little strap, I can throw it over my shoulder, fine. If I am doing something close up on the desk, it works pretty good, you know, but usually I have to put the legs like this if I'm working over here. And like I said, it just becomes top heavy sometimes. I mean, right now it's bottom heavy because there's nothing mounted to this, but trust me, once you have, you know, 5 pounds worth of gear up here, it does want to tip over pretty easily. Now this has got the standard feet where this just opens up, the feet slide out, or the legs slide out, I should really say. And then this is like a cam lock that closes on top, and there's 3 sets of those. So adjustability wise, you know, you can adjust it pretty good, but it's still, even when you have the center column all the way up and the feet all the way out, it still doesn't get the eye level. And I'll find the specific, you know, dimensions of all this, and I'll put them in the description below. So what I have to do now is I'm going to take my camera off the tripod it's on and put it onto that one, and we're going to get a kind of reverse shot over here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm using now. And this is it. This is the Ravelli AVTP professional tripod, and I have the Ravelli wheel set, which is the Tripod Dolly model ATD. This thing is great. It's heavy. It's 14 pounds alone. It will hold up to a 17-pound camera, which eventually, if I continue with this channel, I will have myself a prosumer grade camera at some point, and maybe 4K, because that's going to be the way to go. I didn't go 4K to begin with because I didn't have the computer system to edit the videos. You needed a little bit more power than what I could offer, and eventually I'll have to do that because why not? But anyway, you can see I have the wheels kind of unlocked right now, and I am on a smooth floor, and this thing just rolls so smoothly. They don't recommend doing dolly shots on this, where you can, you know, move the camera while I don't recommend that either, unless you're on the smoothest of floors. I've read a lot of reviews online before I bought this. They say the same thing. It says right in the book. While it could be done, they don't recommend it. I don't really plan on doing a lot of that anyway. I just wanted something that was really stable, and when I, you know, bump into it, I wasn't going to knock it over like the tripod that the camera is on now. And you can see it's so loose. Just touching it, just where this one here, the mounting plate on this is awesome. You know, it has the front mount pin on it, which I like. It slides back and forth to adjust to different camera widths. You can actually remove it with this little rubber plug in the bottom. And on the bottom, you can see it has these teeth which engage into the top of the head here. I might have to adjust the camera just a little bit. And on the other tripod, there we go. And you can see there's this locking button, and there's also a cam lock on the end over here. So you'd actually have to push the button down, and this can only go so far. Then you use this over here to tighten it, which is handy. And one thing I found out, I didn't really remember reading in the instructions, but all these cams actually pull in and out. So you can pull this cam out and then reset where it locks and then get further leverage on it, which is nice. And they all do that, the ones on the side over here. This is a fluid dampened head. There is an adjustment knob here in the bottom that you can use to level this out. They do tell you in the instructions that the level in the back here isn't dead center. So if you're really going for a critical, you know, level shot, you actually want to put a different level on top of this, like a you know, 6 foot or, you know, whatever level on top. And you can hone it in better that way. But I find if, most of the time I'm just aiming down here on my desk, so I can just get this right where I want it. Also, I read in the reviews and watched a couple things on YouTube too that they point out that these handles, having two of them, really gives you good control over this. You can get nice steady shot, which is really cool. There are adjustment knobs. There's one on the side over here, which if I turn it around here, you can see you can adjust the amount of tension that's on this head. So if you want it to turn smoother, you can actually just tighten it right down. In fact, you can go all the way till it won't turn at all. Same thing on the side over here. This is one of those adjustable cams. So you can actually pull it out, pop it back in place, and tighten it down. So if you don't want this to tip or tilt, it won't do that. Now, this particular camera I'm using doesn't have a wired remote, but it does have a Wi-Fi remote. So I can use either one of those cell phones, or I could use my tablet, and I can use the Wi-Fi signal to control it remotely. In fact, everything in the viewfinder would come through on the tablet as well, which is really neat, even though there is a slight delay. But ultimately, you could actually find a way to mount that tablet back here on these clips would be great. So then that way you have a mobile, larger screen and tablet and everything on it. There's enough room down at the bottom of the tripod here where you can actually put a small battery pack, which would be really cool. And actually I have a new mount coming for the back of the camera. I mentioned that it has its own hot shoe mount, and the hot shoe mount just clips in the back, but obviously you can only hook up one device at a time. So if I want to use the microphone and the light at the same time, I have to use one of the adapters that came with those pieces, and they're kind of hokey. So I'm getting one of those V-mount adapters that I can put in the back of the camera, and then I can mount a light and a microphone all at the same time. Let's see if I can get a better shot of this tripod here. I like the cams on these, they turn and then that becomes loose. You can just slide it right in, and it's just, a half a turn, maybe a little bit more than a half a turn, and they ratchet right down. If I come out here a little bit, you can see it is only 2 layers. I only have one of the bottom layers extended out. The way the feet work, if you want to go all the way up with both sets of legs, you can't have this middle piece here popped out. The legs, they go too far out when it's open all the way. If I actually pick this up here, you can see how that's anchored in. It has a nice clamping system. Let me do this one-handed, where this knob here holds the foot in place. This knob over here allows this whole thing to slide in and out. So that's another way you can adjust the height. And it locks in the middle. There's 2 pins here, and then this thing would fold. But once you have that set up like this, to have that middle part locked in, the bottom locked in, everything, like it's not extended the full height. So I should point that out. If you had there's no center column here, but this is one of those tripods that had a center column. You can then raise this up and then get it to eye level where you need it to be. But for now, using this up close to the table, this works great. If I pop this up and I release the tension on these knobs, I can actually pull this up like this. And like I said, because you have the centerpiece down the bottom of those feet, that's what's keeping the legs spread. And you can see it does get pretty tall, but you just don't have that center support. But yeah, you can't tip it. It's got a great center of gravity on it, the way that the wheels are spread. Now on the feet, you see how unsmooth this thing is? On the feet here, the wheels, I should say, there are I lost my train of thought. There are some locks on the wheels, so if you wanted to, you can just step on that and it would lock it. You could lock one, so if you wanted to actually just tip this around and use it as a pivot point, you could do that. And I should mention that the lock doesn't only lock the wheel, but it locks the swivel from swiveling. And these are all ball bearing wheels, so this rolls really, really smoothly. Yeah, all right, now I remember what my train of thought was. The 2 pins here that keep the feet from wheeling out only lock in from the top. And I've heard in a couple reviews Some of these stands don't have this middle stabilizer at all, and these feet can be adjusted any way out you want. And I guess there are situations where you would want those. I think some Manfrotto units have that. What some people have had happen is that this bolt has failed them, and what happened was the wheel, the whole leg, kind of just gave in and twisted, and this leg like shot out and caused the camera to tip. I don't have to worry about that because I have this center column on this camera, the center support piece here, but I can see that being a problem. And their fix was they just put some bolts through it. They just drilled it straight through and just bolted it right in and put a nut on the other side of it, held it right in place. So that, you know, may be an option if I find that to be a problem, but I don't think that'll be a problem for me right now. Also, I just happened to notice there's another little screw over here on the side. It looks like it's actually an extra hot shoe mount, or it's another way to lock the platen. I have to look at that because I haven't really noticed that before. I should check that out and report my findings. I'll be right back. Alright, so there's something here I totally didn't even realize. There are two different thread sizes on the bottom here, and they gave you both screws. That's why it's removable. And I don't remember reading that in the instructions either. So this is the standard size thread, and then you can see here's the much larger one. And what they actually did with this is, if I can pan the camera back up here, in the head right here there's a little spot where this screws in, and on the other side of the head you could screw in the smaller threaded screw. And that's really neat. Again, that must be one of the professional grade cameras that has that, because I don't ever remember seeing that on a consumer grade camera before. But yeah, you would just screw that in right over here. You can see that or not, and it just sits right here. Pretty cool. That's really all I have to say about this thing. You'll eventually see how this operates once I get this you know, outside where I can really do some nice panning shots with it. This will come camping with me in the springtime. I don't really plan on taking a hiking because the thing does weigh a ton. But once I'm at my campsite, you know, I could use that to do some really cool shots and stuff, which I will have on my other channel. So with that, as always, thanks for watching. I forgot to mention here that the feet are these self-leveling ball mount kind of feet, which are really cool. But they can actually be screwed in here, and a spike is exposed, which you can use in soft surfaces like the grass or whatnot. But these self-leveling feet also help it sit on that stand really nicely on the feet. And this is how it looks folded up. It has this nice carry handle at the top. You can see a close-up of the casters with the swivels on them. And well, I didn't mention the fact that this thing has carry bags too. It comes with this really nice heavy canvas style bag, shoulder strap. It even has straps inside to hold the tripod in the actual bag itself. And the wheels have a bag too. It's very similar. So that makes that a really nice piece of kit. Thanks for watching.